Well, I've been out here since early morning and it's been a real calm morning. But now we got a few clouds coming in. There is a little forecast for possible chance of rain, say 5, 6, 7 o'clock this evening. And the wind's kind of pulsing in and out, so I'm not sure how far I'll get to go. I did go order some flashing and some extra materials for this barn. I did that Monday, but it's not going to be ready until the following week. So I don't have a lot to do. I've got a few corners I can put on and possibly part of my drip edge. I can only put 3 corners on. I don't think I want to do this corner until I get my rafters covered with tin, and I got the rest of that coming is also this next week. So I'll have to wait on it. So I may not make it very far today. Well, good morning once again. We're back out here on my barn project. We're about a half hour before sunrise. Skies are just starting to lighten up. We did get a bit of rain over the night, and so things are kind of settled down dust-wise, but we're kind of forecast for a pretty calm day, less than 10-mile-an-hour winds. So we're going to try to tackle the roof on this barn. We did spend a couple hours the other night kind of getting things lined out, got our first 3 sheets up, and kind of think we have it figured out how it's going to go. So we're working on the east side, and then as things kind of go, hopefully we're going to get the west side done as well. Well, a friend of mine here in town who is a retired cabinet maker has been kind enough to come out and help. And he has also brought out a set of scaffolding that's helping us to raise these 18.5-foot long sheets that go up on the roof. This scaffolding has been really handy. Steve gets up on the scaffold and I help push it up, and then between the two of us we're able to get it up and start the process. We got 3 sheets down, takes 9 to do the whole roof, so we got 6 more on this side, and then we'll tackle the other side. You can see the runoff from the 3 sheets that we had up last night from that little shower that came through the evening. The wind is just almost non-existent this morning. It's really calm. You can see the sunrise just starting to touch the clouds. A lot of this putting tin on the roof is pretty repetitious, kind of like putting on these sides was. So I'm going to shoot a lot of this in time lapse, so you'll kind of probably get to see the clouds and the wind, maybe at a little faster action, but maybe speed it up to where it's not quite so repetitious and boring. Well, Steve got here about 6:30 this morning, and just as the sun was coming over the hill, we started working on the east side. We have quite a colony of little rabbits around, and if you kind of watch by the lower left of by the propane tank, you can see a little rabbit coming up having its morning breakfast. Well, it ends up being just a whole lot of up and down these ladders throughout the day. Well, Steve ended up bringing out a second set of scaffolding, and that really made it handy for me underneath as he operated on the ends. Steve is the one that makes sure that we have a consistent 2-inch drip edge on the end. As it turned out, my building is 27 feet 2 inches long, so we didn't even have to trim any of the tin. If you watch the sawhorses on the lower right, you can see we have a cover on them, and also the wind is starting to pick up. When we start out a new layer, this is on the west side, we temporarily fasten the first piece of tin and then put up the second piece so that we can make sure that we're square with the building. At this point, we're just about noon and the wind is starting to gust a little bit. The forecast was 2 to 9 miles an hour with gusts of 16. Well, some of these gusts were starting to show up. On the east side, we used 3 pieces of tin loosely attached to make sure we were square, but the wind was picking up enough here that we only used 2, afraid that the wind was going to pick up this tin. The wind was coming out of the northeast, so working on this southwest side of the building, we were actually a little more protected from the wind. Steve makes sure that we're square on the bottom with our consistent 2H lip, and then he has to wait for me to where I bring all my tools up on top and then fasten the top to make sure we retain our squareness. If you kind of watch the grass in the fields to the right, you can see that the wind is getting actually pretty strong. This is late afternoon, and we're glad we finally got our last piece of tin up. By this time of the day, we're about 5 in the afternoon, so we spent between 11 and 12 hours on this roofing project. Well, I visited briefly with Steve this morning, and we're both suffering from the morning after effects. You know, back when it was in our younger days, that might have a different meaning. But now both of us are knocking on the door of being 70, and this morning after yesterday, we're both feeling it in our backs and in our thighs and shoulders. It was a long day yesterday. It was a good thing that we did what we did on the day we did it, because even though we had some light gusty winds, we were able to get the roof on. But this morning we have a southwest wind that is pretty brisk, and it's bringing in some temperatures that are going to be knocking on the door of 100 degrees, which will be the first time that we've had that this summer. So it's been kind of postponed. Normally we would have this maybe a little earlier, but mid-August it's to be expected. This is harvest time. But it's nice to have all the walls on and the ceiling on, so as the wind blows outside, we're not feeling it inside. This is one of the strong southwest winds that this area is really known for. So this is now our side that faces to the east, and whether the wind blows from the south or from the north, this bay here should be fairly well protected most of the time. It's a rare occasion that we have a easterly wind. So it's nice to have this side enclosed as well. So with the wind that we have today, I'm going to postpone putting these gable end trim pieces on. Wait for maybe early morning when the wind's a little calmer, and the temperature probably a little bit cooler too. But we're making some headway. I'm kind of glad to see this roof tin on. That's where I really needed the second pair of hands. And thanks to Steve for helping me out. Appreciate you all following along.